Hey y'all, it's Keisha Milana, and I'm bringing y'all a video today about the 7 most common interview questions that interviewers are going to ask you. And I'm actually going to answer them based on my real information, just to show y'all what they're looking for and how you can possibly answer some of these questions as well. So before we get started, make sure y'all go subscribe to my channel at The Keisha Milana, and go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Keisha Milana as well. I like to go live sometimes. Maybe I can go live and answer some more interview questions you might have if you need some of those tips. But yeah, my first question that I'm going to ask, that any interviewer is going to ask you, is tell me a little bit about yourself. So now, to tell you a little bit about what this question is asking, is basically to see, are you a well-rounded individual? What are some of your skills? What are some of the things that you're good at? What are some of the things that you've done in the past at jobs? So this is basically just to see a whole picture of you as a person. So it's definitely going to be at every single interview. So if I was to answer this, if an interview was like, so tell me a little bit about yourself. So to answer the question, tell me a little bit about yourself, I would definitely answer it like this. So my name is Keisha. I went to Alabama State University, where I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology. I actually double minored in writing and Spanish, and so now I attend Clayton State University, where I'm majoring in clinical and counseling psychology, and I plan to pursue a PhD after this. I currently work for State Farm, where I'm a customer service representative, so I'm really good with like clerical skills such as faxing, copying, printing, emailing, scanning, things of that nature. And I've also worked for a law firm where I've done clerical things of that nature. And so I'm also a salesperson for State Farm, and so I sell insurance. And I previously had a job where I was the customer service representative, where we had to do some sales when I worked at an electric company. So I do have call center experience as well. And I also have experience in behavioral health systems. So I previously worked with individuals with intellectual disabilities, just helping them to be able to get integrated into normal life and being able to help them take their medicine, cook for them, clean for them, things of that nature. So with my answer, I included school stuff, I included work stuff, like personal things, that I'm good with people of different backgrounds, people with disabilities. So all of that is helping them to get a better picture of who I am as a person and why they should hire me. I talked about different aspects of my work history, such as the behavioral health systems person and the customer service, clerical, law firm, different jobs, to show them that I'm well-rounded. If I would have just talked about sales, or just talked about customer service, or just talked about being a caretaker, none of those would fit my whole personality. So I wanted to include all of them. I could have included more stuff, but I feel like that was pretty brief. You don't want to have your answers to be too long, because then the interviewer can get bored. So yeah, just think about that. Keep that in mind. So the next question that you're definitely going to see for an interview, like, tell me about your strengths and your weaknesses. I would answer and try to capitalize and make my weakness something that is still a positive thing. So I would probably say, for my strengths and weaknesses, I would have to say that I'm really detail oriented and able to adapt well in several different settings that I might be put in throughout the nature of this position. And then for weaknesses, I would have to say the fact that I can't say no. Like, I'm so addicted to saying yes and being able to help people in any way that I can. Sometimes I can get a little stretched thin, but my time management skills are really, really good. So I'm able to balance it all in a way that I don't get too overwhelmed most of the time. So that was to show the employer that one of my things is that I help people a lot. So it's like, yeah, it's a weakness in the sense that I might get stretched thin, but then I also talked about how my time management skills are impeccable. So I kind of gave him 2 strengths without even knowing it, just to be able to show him that even my weaknesses aren't a bad thing. So just make sure you do this. Think about a weakness that's not that bad. You don't want to say like I'm late all the time or anything crazy like that, because that's a weakness that someone can righteously not hire you for, versus a weakness that they're gonna capitalize on and be able to, to be able to work with. So that was the second question. Second question, tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. So that's a question you definitely gonna see. They want to be able to know that you can handle difficult situations. So a question that you're more than likely going to hear every time you go to a job interview is, how do I handle, how would you handle a difficult situation? So the question would be, how would you handle a difficult situation? So to answer that, I would definitely talk about how I turned the difficult situation into something that was no longer a problem. But also, you don't want to sound rude. You don't want to sound like you just know everything either. So I would probably say something, if someone said, tell me about a time you had to handle a difficult situation. I would say, so one time at one of my jobs, I wasn't getting along with one of my coworkers because they thought that I knew it all. And so I had just had a conversation with them, pulled them to the side and asked them, was there any issues that we had? They fortunately told me the issues. And so I just explained to them, my personality type and how I don't have any problems with them. I don't think I know everything. However, there are systems in place that are there for a reason, so it's important to follow protocol. They were used to cutting corners and doing things in a way that was unethical to the business and unethical in violations of the ethics code. So I just politely told them that as long as you're doing your job without any ethical violations, there won't be a need for me to intervene or to tell you, hey, that's not how we do it. So it was simply a communication error, I feel like, but it was difficult because they were trying to stop my progress within the organization. And so I just wanted to make sure that they didn't impede on me getting a promotion or me going to the next level at the company, because it was a company that I really did like to work for. So this helps the employer to see that you are able to deal with conflict in a constructive way. So if you can't deal with conflict, more than likely they're not going to hire you, because conflict is something that arises anywhere at any time for anybody. So if you can't deal with conflict, then you probably can't work for them. So yeah, just think about how you would answer that question. You don't want to answer it with anything that's too heavy, too deep. You want to make sure you keep it light and talk about something that wasn't like, oh, I got into a fight with this person. It was a whole shootout. You just want to keep it simple. And so you could talk about a problem with a customer, a problem with a coworker, or a problem with a boss. And I feel like all of those would suffice and be able to help you to convey that you can handle a difficult situation. Okay, so the next question that you're definitely going to get would be like, what is one of your biggest achievements thus far? So employers want to see like, what's big for you, like what's something that you would consider something that's like important. They want to basically see your values and where your values lay and where things that are important to you lie. So if someone said, what's one thing that's a big achievement for you or your biggest achievement thus far, I would be able to say, I feel like me being able to graduate college with honors was one of my biggest achievements, because that's something I have been looking forward to for so many years. And to see that everything I was doing capitalized and made me end up with the degree, that really helped me to just feel accomplished and to feel like I really did something good for my life and for my future. because my future is something that's really, really important to me. So I want to make sure I'm always doing the best to solidify it. And so my degree, it just automatically helped me to solidify my future a little more than if I was just high school educated. So that's something I'm really, really proud of. And then being able to graduate with honors and being in the honors program, that helped me to just feel even more accomplished, because it's something that not everyone can do. So yeah, that would be something that I'm really, really proud of, my biggest accomplishment thus far, and something that I'm really, really excited about for my future. So that's a good way to just explain that that's something that's important to me. It's showing my employer that I'm trying to get hired by that education is important, and also my future is important, and that's why my education was so important. So it's just helping people to get an understanding of what's important to you, where do your values lie. The next question that you will definitely see at a job interview is, why should I hire you over all the other people that wanted this job? And so they want to see, like, what separates you from the pack? What's something that's going to get employers to hire you? Like, what's basically, you want to highlight your strengths. You want to highlight, like, what can you do differently that nobody else can do? So if someone was to ask me this and to ask me, like, okay, so why should we hire you over all the other people that are applying for this position? I would tell them, like, so you should hire me because I feel like I have the necessary skills, experience, and drive to get this job done better than everyone else. I feel like my ability to adapt to any and every situation that I'm put in is going to be very essential to the company. And I feel like with being able to adapt to any and every situation that I get put in, I'm going to be able to handle anything that gets thrown my way better than anybody else that will be in this position, because they might not have experienced it at a previous job. They might not have the drive to figure out how to deal with the issue. They might not be ready to research it, or they might just not have the skills. I might have to be assertive in some situations. I might have to be more laid back in other ones. And so being able to navigate those two situations and to be able to come out on top in both of them, that's a very powerful skill to have. So that's how I would handle it. Being able to be in any situation is something that employers definitely want. So being able to highlight that you can handle being in any situation is going to help them to see that you're the most qualified person for the position. If you don't know what to do in certain situations, that means they either have to train you or you're just not going to know. So that's something you definitely want to highlight to them. You could say a few other things, whatever is going to fit your personality. That's something that legitimately fits my personality. So that's what I would say. But just make sure it's something that's going to be important enough for them to feel like you're fit over everyone else. So the next question that you would definitely see at a job interview: what are 3 adjectives that your previous boss will use to describe you? So if somebody asks you this, like, what are 3 adjectives that your previous boss will use to describe you? I would say something like dedicated, flexible, and driven. So dedicated, they would say that I'm dedicated because anything that I start, I put my mind to, and I'm able to finish it no matter what the task is, no matter how big or how small. Flexible, I feel like just going along with my ability to adapt in any situation, it shows how flexible I am and how I'm able to be in certain situations or be around a certain audience and still be able to fit in and represent the company in a way that's positive and impactful. And then the last one is driven. So I feel like I'm really, really self-motivated, and I have a lot of intrinsic motivation, and that's like my biggest drive. And so having that drive coming from the inside versus external things like money, prestige, things of that nature, that's just gonna separate me And that's something I know my previous bosses would appreciate about me, is how I'm always self-motivated and self-driven. So no matter what they want me to do, or no matter what anybody else, clients, customers might want me to do, it's like I'm going to always do it because I know this is something that's going to help me to further my career or to further my abilities within this organization. So that's something that I would say. Just because those 3 words are like not so basic, such as like hard work, organized, things of that nature, and then also just fitting them into the things that I already talked about throughout the duration of the interview, that's going to be very powerful as well, to show that everything I'm saying, it goes together. Like, it literally goes together. So just being able to have all of those things go together, it'll show like I'm credible, I'm telling the truth, this is my legitimate personality, things like that. And so the last question that you will get at each and every job interview, I promise you, and it's actually one of the most important, even though it might not seem important at all, but the last question that you're gonna get is, so do you have any questions for me? So if an employer asks you, do you have any questions for me? You need to always say yes. Like, you should always have some questions for them, because if you're trying to get into their organization or to their company, then it's some things that you definitely want to know. And you should be able to express those things to have good communication from day one throughout the company. So one thing that I always ask this question, and people appreciate it because they want to know that I'm curious about what they're doing and I'm interested, and that just helps you to show interest. So you should never say, no, I don't have any questions for you. So the question I always ask is, what's the hardest part about this job for you? And people really appreciate that question because they want to know, like, wow, she really want to know what's hard about it, so she can still decide if she want to be a part of this company. And that's what it's for. If I know that the hardest part is something that I can't deal with, that's already a signal for me to know that this is a job I'm not matched with. So being able to find a job that you're matched with means being able to deal with the things that are hard about that position as well. And so if you notice up front, it can help you to decide on your career journey if you actually want to work there. So just make sure you always have a question to ask for your employer, multiple if you can, but at least ask one question. One question. If you can't necessarily think of a question about the company, or if they already answered the one that you had, you can ask something personal about the interviewer, because they're going to value that you actually cared about them. So you can ask like, what are some related roles to this position within the organization? Things of that nature, just to show them like, hey, I'm really interested in your company. Even if it's not this position, that's what that question shows them. You can ask the interviewer like, what's your favorite part about working here? That's going to show them like, okay, that's trying to get information on the company, but also personalizing it too. And it's going to make them feel really, really good. So thank y'all for watching this video. I hope y'all learned some things about the common questions that interviewers ask and how to answer them. And so I really appreciate y'all watching this. Go subscribe to my channel, The Keisha Milana. Hit the subscribe button and go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Keisha Milana as well, to get more tips like this on academic coaching, career coaching, life coaching, health coaching, tutoring, things of that nature. And make sure y'all share this with y'all followers, and just make sure y'all stay tuned in. It's so many more videos. It's a video dropping next Friday, and every Friday. And so I just want to make sure that I'm, appreciating y'all and being able to interact with y'all as much as possible. So make sure y'all comment as well. Thank y'all.